Hello and welcome. This video is intended to show you our company concept, explain to you why we started StrataWork.ca, and by expressing our point of view, help you understand the benefits that our service provides. First, we will address the problem, then share with you our solution, and finish by telling you where we are starting. Over the past couple of years, the strata industry has been complaining about the cost to manage and maintain their assets. Since the financial crisis in 2008 and now depreciation reports in 2012, people are more and more worried about their money and are looking for ways to reduce their operating costs and bank some of that money away for repairs. Most of the expenses are pretty standard, except there are a couple expenses in particular that will be scrutinized, considered to be somewhat expendable, and increasingly dropped as funds become tighter. What I'm talking about are the yearly maintenance contracts and management contracts. Normally, a council member will look at the needs like utilities, security, interphone system, water and sewage, fire and safety. Anything that's pretty standard, they will accept those as they are. Maintenance contracts and management contracts are really the only items a council can fight over trying to save a little bit of cash. And because property managers tend to use preferred contractors, once we get rid of the agent, we tend to lose the contractors too. So stratas that are professionally managed only have two options: deal with the expenses that are associated with the agent and their contractors, or fire them and deal with another agent's expenses and their contractors. Now what if I told you that my strata managed to drop our expenses by $12,000 a year, which was 10% of our annual operating budget, and the only thing that happened was that we came to realize our agent was making mistakes and we fired them and hired a different one. Now bear with me because I'm getting to the problem. There are three types of strata management companies out there: small, medium, and large. Small companies will typically be 1 to 4 man companies managing at most 20 stratas. They are careful about their reputation because they are small, usually have a small lease space if not a home office, are low tech, use simple software, and are a little more connected to the local contractors because that's all they manage are local stratas. Medium companies have 10 plus agent and or employee operations, bigger office spaces and lease spaces. They start investing a little bit more in software and tech, and as they get busier, they tend to seek larger contractors able to service their larger portfolios. Larger companies have multiple offices or one large office, more upper-level management, high-tech software, and due to being extremely busy, they tend to contract to larger contractors or, again, companies that can service their large list of clients. Now, in my strata, we were with a large company, and we got mad because our agent was stressed out, forward, direct, and guiding counsel with a firm hand as to what to do. Also, we discovered late payment penalties at the bottom of our invoices, material supposedly bought for our strata but not on site, and a directness about using their contractors and reluctance to get quotes even though we were running a deficit 3 years in a row. And finally, the cherry on top for us owners was at our annual general meeting. The agent included a raise in the budget, and when we asked why, when so much was going wrong and no one else was getting raises at that time, they turned to us and said, because it's just industry standard. So what the heck? The impression is that large companies have their acts together and small companies don't. But why was our large company making so many mistakes? Now here's the problem. In BC, there are 29,000 strata corporations with approximately 22,000 that are professionally managed. According to the Real Estate Council of BC, they licensed 1,181 agents in 2012, and that is a ratio of 19 to 1. If you ask a strata management company how much their agents should manage to be good at their jobs, they will tell you no more than 12. Remember that when I said small companies don't take on too much? Well, that means that only large companies are able to take on more clients and help service industry demand. And currently, many large companies push portfolios of 18 to 22 onto their agents, way above industry standard, almost double. The agent that we let go in our strata at the time was managing 27 buildings. So then I got curious to find out what the companies are doing to help out their agents. And I noticed that almost all of them are starting to invest in software. As the software companies are saying, we will make your lives easier, they are also saying it's going to cost you $50,000 to $100,000 to build a simple system, or you can license our software for $40,000, $50,000, or $60,000 and pay yearly as we update it. So now the companies are spending a whole bunch of money to help their agents, but then those costs are being pushed down to their clients. Well then, let's go back to the beginning when I said councils look for ways to save money, and cha-ching. When we changed management companies, we saved $12,000 a year. Now here's the breakdown. $5,500 for retendering our contracts to small local contractors, $4,500 by changing from a larger agent to a smaller agent, and $2,000 by not making mistakes and financing our insurance. The management style large companies are forced into forces them to license expensive software or build their own, which is also expensive. Large companies only use certain contractors because they are the only people saying, yes, I'll help you, and they don't have the time to waste, so they choose large, reputable contractors that will be able to fix things fast and efficiently. The large companies are also the ones with the highest turnover because as their expenses rise, they get fired because council again sees room for improvement. So that's the problem. Our BC Strata agents are forced into a management style that only gets them fired or gets the general public upset at them for the way they act in order to service industry demand. So again, let's focus on the problem we had as a strata. We had an overworked, stressed out agent making mistakes, telling us what to do, and through that management style cost us nearly $12,000 per year. When we analyze what an agent does for us, they spend 30 to 40% of their time doing administration work, 30 to 40% of their time doing contract management, and then 20 to 30% of the time managing council communication and the general public inquiries. So knowing where the agent spends their time and the rising company expenses, we can now formulate our solution, and here's what must be done. We must build a social software service so agents don't have to spend their money on software. Then they can spend their money on their agents. That will reduce the stress on the agents and the company, and the average buildings in a portfolio will drop. Then build the tools to assist agents to manage their daily affairs: communication tools, administration tools, and contract management tools. The key is to relieve them of any influence so that nothing affects their judgment and recommendations. Having them pay for everything and increase their fees, so we fire them because they cost too much, only adds stress on them, wondering if they'll be in business. That's why big companies never say no to a client. They need the revenue to stay afloat. So the solution in an ideal scenario is, we need to encourage smaller management companies with lower expenses. Build them all the software they need to manage our assets, but not at their expense. We need to encourage smaller contractors with lower expenses, reduce the cost of producing quotes, and make it better for contractors to quote this industry. Then we as council members need to have the tools to help balance the workload and work alongside our agents. So we start off by building a social software platform, where each company and corporation have their own account. We ensure we incorporate the appropriate security and privacy features to store important information, and establish access levels for different roles and responsibilities. We build tools for each account so that no matter who is managing a particular strata, once elected or hired, can easily pick up where the last member left off, and the cost of software is spread evenly over each user. That's a start to help lower the management company's expenses, so they may focus those revenues on training or whatever other service they can provide for their agents. Then to help the agents, we develop tools so council members may start doing some of the work an agent does every day. We start with the most basic tools, starting with a single point of communication for councils and agents, then a secure workspace to host and store all documents electronically. Central communication and documentation is the foundation for a management team to start working together. And then we introduce the contractor services tool, designed to allow StrataCorps to post jobs, and when contractors are done, they may rate them. This tool should alleviate the agents from the time they spend in contract management, all while opening up the job market to smaller qualified contractors. Our defined set of terms and conditions place the contractors as responsible to only quote if they want to. The next step is we continue to remove the barriers for small business by lobbying for a solution to the broker licensing requirements, making it easier for individuals to be self-employed and take on stratas as clients. For our agents and counsels, we continue to build essential tools to balance out the workload and allow counsels to do as much or as little work as they're able to. And when we get there, an agent may then start catering their contracts, first to charge for their time as supervisors, then to charge for additional services performed thereafter. So that's where we're starting, and that's where we're going. And if you've experienced what we have expressed through this video, then we ask for your support in starting an account. Whether you're an agent who is overworked, a council member who is frustrated with your manager, or a contractor drowning trying to get business in this industry, this platform is the start for council members to manage their affairs alongside their agent, the start for agents and companies to reduce their stress and expenses, and the start for contractors to quote StrataWork in a less costly and constructive way. And just before we finish, we did some rough calculations of the estimated cost overruns due to this management style, and we estimate that its total to be nearly $168 million per year. That's not including the thousands of dollars unsuccessful contractors spend trying to solicit an agent for business. Seeing as depreciation reports just came in, it sure would be nice to put that money back into our properties. If you have any questions or comments regarding this video, please write to us at clientcare@StrataWork.ca. Thanks for watching.